I think there are three reasons why Saudi Arabia might be seriously considering normalization of ties with Israel. The first reason is that when Saudi Arabia looks towards its northern border to Iraq, to Syria, it sees a huge Iranian influence that it has been unable to unpin and unable to challenge. When it looks towards the east, it sees Iran mainland, and it sees the other smaller Gulf states with relations and with sympathies towards Iran, whether that's Kuwait, whether that's Qatar, whether that's even the UAE. When it looks to the south, it sees the Houthis, who are backed by Iran, who have successfully managed to entrench themselves in northern Yemen and even fire missiles towards Saudi mainland. And in the White House, there is an expectation that Joe Biden will win the elections and Joe Biden will pursue a new deal with Iran that is expected to come about at the expense of Saudi Arabia and at the expense of the Arabs. So Saudi Arabia in this context believes that given that Israel is anti-Iran and wields significant influence over the White House, having Israel as an ally will be integral in containing Iran. The second reason is a more personal one. It's unique to Mohammed bin Salman, who has promised to socially engineer Saudi society, to unpin the Islamic influences, to teach the new Saudi generation that there's nothing wrong with relations with Israel, to introduce new liberal values, and that to do that he needs at least 20 to 30 years, as he reportedly suggested to the Americans. In other words, Mohammed bin Salman believes that if he has Israel on board and he makes these promises, then Israel will be able to insulate him from the controversies of Khashoggi and from any antagonism from a potential Democrat-led Congress that might seek to come after bin Salman and hold him to account for some of the foreign policy disasters and some of the human rights abuses. The third reason is that Saudi Arabia has seen that all of the Gulf nations who have enjoyed good ties with Israel, whether that's Qatar or whether that's the UAE, have benefited significantly. Qatar has been able to use its relations with Israel to keep Saudi Arabia in check. UAE has been able to use its relations with Israel to avoid any repercussions and backlash over its expansive foreign policy, whether that's in Libya or whether that's in Yemen. But there will be significant consequences for Saudi Arabia, negative consequences for Saudi Arabia, if it was ever to normalize ties with Israel. But that's not the subject of this video, and that's perhaps a topic for another time.